Good morning, class 6. Today we will continue with the chapter What Books and Burials Tell Us. The previous day we have started with the chapter. Just let's revise what we have studied the previous day. We have talked about Mary, who was going to the library, and it was her first experience, and there she noticed lot of books. The teacher told her the books she was looking at or she was finding out were the religious books. So from that was the introduction to the chapter. Then we have studied that there are four Vedas: Rig Ved, Sam Ved, Yajur Ved, and Athar Ved. The oldest Ved is the Rig Ved, which was composed or written about 3,500 years ago. Rig Ved, it includes thousand hymns, which is called Sukta, that is well said, and these are the hymns in praise of different gods. Then we have studied that the relation between Sanskrit and other languages, how you can say that they are from the same family, and how it was like what are the similarities between these languages. Then we have talked about how historians study the Rig Veda. The historians, like archaeologists, find out about the past, but in addition to material remains, they examine written sources as well. Let us see how they study Rig Veda. So, some of the hymns in the Rig Veda are in the form of dialogues, that is, two people are talking to each other. So, here they have given you one example in which the famous saint Vishwamitra is talking to two rivers, Beas and Satluj, that is in Punjab. So they are conversing with each other. Vishwamitra terms or calls them at one place, he calls them as his sister. At one place, he refers to them as you can say the horse and the cows. So that means that in that era, cows and horses were given lot of respect. So they were treated very properly or very nicely, and if a person has cattle, he was given lot of respect in the society. So that is all what we have studied the previous day. Now we will continue with words to describe people. There are several ways to describing people in terms of work they do, the language they speak, the place they belong to, their family, their communities, and cultural practices. Let us see some of the words used to describe people found in Rig Veda. So it is very common that sometimes people describe somebody by the way they look, by the way they speak, maybe sometimes from the family to which they belong. So here let's see how it is described. There are two groups who are described in the terms of their work: the priests, sometimes called Brahmins, who performed various rituals, and the Rajas. There are two groups, Rajas and the priest. The Raja were not like the ones you will be learning about later. They did not have capital cities, palaces, or armies, nor did they collect taxes. So it was the beginning, and they were differently treated. Now, later you will study about Rajas in different context. They were totally very different people, but here they didn't have their own palaces, they didn't have their armies, they didn't collect taxes, so they were different. Generally, sons did not automatically succeed fathers as Rajas, so it was not hereditary. Read the previous section once more and see whether you can find out what the Rajas did. The words were used to describe the people or the community as a whole. One was the word Jana, which we still use in Hindi and other languages. The other was wish. The word Vishya comes from wish. You will learn more about this in chapter 5. Several wish or Jana are mentioned by name, so we find reference to the Puru Jana or wish, the Bharat Jan or wish, the Yadu Jan or wish, and so on. So that means these are the words which were commonly used in Rig Veda. That is, one of the word is Jana, which is still used or prevalent, and Jana or wish is the one and the same thing. Do any of these names sound familiar? Sometimes The people who composed the hymns described themselves as Aryas and called their opponents Dasas or Dasyus. These were people who did not perform sacrifices and probably spoke different languages. Later, the term dasa and the feminine dasi came to mean slave. Slaves were women and men who were often captured in war. They were treated as the property of their owners, who could make them do whatever work they wanted. While the Rig Veda was being composed in the northwest of the subcontinent, there were other developments elsewhere. Let us look at some of these. So, initially, those who composed these hymns they called themselves Arya, and their opponents were known as Dasas or Dasyus. But later on, the meaning of this word Dasas or Dasyus was completely changed. They were not allowed to perform sacrifices, but later what happened? They were treated as slaves. They were captured in the war, and they were they didn't have any property. They were treated as slaves by their owners. Silent Sentinel, the story of megalith. Look at the illustration on the next page. These stone boulders are known as megaliths by people and were used to mark burial sites. The practice of erecting megaliths began about 3000 years ago and was prevalent throughout the Deccan, South India, in the northeast and Kashmir. So you can see these megaliths. Megalith means large or big stones, and it was used to mark the burial sites. You can see the type of megalith is known as cyst. Some cysts like the one shown here have portholes which could be used as an entrance. So you can see that there is one place as if for the entrance. Some important megalithic sites are shown on map 2. While some megaliths can be seen on the surface, other megalithic burials are often underground. Sometimes archaeologists find a circle of stone boulders or a single large stone standing on the ground. These are only indications that there are burials beneath. So this was done just to make it prominent that these are the burial sites. So it was not necessary that it has to be decorated. It could be one big stone could be kept at a place to show that it is the burial site. There were several things that people did to make megaliths. We have made a list here. Try and arrange them in the correct order. Digging pits in the earth, transporting stones, breaking boulders, placing stones in the position, finding suitable stone, shaping stones, burying the dead. So it was just to make clear that here these sites are the burial sites, and people can easily understand when they saw those megaliths kept there, those big stones, those big boulders kept there. All these burials have some common feature. Generally, the dead were buried with distinctive pots which are called black and red ware. Also found are tools and weapons of iron and sometimes skeletons of horses, horse equipment, and ornaments of stone and gold. Was iron used in the Harappan cities? So, what these things were kept with the person's body, maybe believing that the person will get up sometime and use it. Finding out about social difference. Archaeologists think that objects found with a skeleton probably belong to the dead person. Sometimes more objects are found in one grave than in another. Find Brahmagiri on map 2. Here, one skeleton was buried with 33 gold beads, 2 stone beads, 4 copper bangles, and 1 conch shell. Other skeletons have only a few pots. These finds suggest that there was some difference in the status amongst the people who were buried. Some were rich, other poor. Some chiefs, other followers. So according to the stature in the society, these people were buried and things were kept. Were like, if the person was rich, then more things were kept with his burial, and if the person was poor, then the number of things was decreased. What some burial spots meant for certain families. Sometimes megaliths contain more than one skeleton. These indicate that people, perhaps belonging to the same family, were buried in the same place, though not at the same time. The bodies of those who died later were brought into the grave through the portholes. Stone circles or boulders placed on the surface probably served as signposts to find the burial site, so that people could return to the same place whenever they wanted. So it is believed that certain places were reserved for certain family, and once a person of that family died, he was buried, and that pothole which we have seen in that picture, that's rectangular thing, maybe that was the entrance, and from there, if some other person dies from that same family, that body would people would bring that body, and through those potholes or the entrance they went inside and buried the person there. So maybe some family had their own, like, place where they would be, or members of their family would be buried. Okay, so that is all for today, class. Please read the chapter and do the questions which I'll be giving you. Thank you, class. Take care of yourselves.